Let's talk about how are you and Tom Holland doing? Have you sucked it up and watched No Way Home yet? I mean, you and Mackie just give this poor kid so much
I
grief.
love first. I mean, I almost felt like I was like, wow, this joke's gone way long. Like,
You guys are.
I was sitting there going like, oh, here I am promoting my movie, saying like, you know what, I'm not going to support Tom Holland. Meanwhile, his movie is obliterated mine. Like, it's just like $500 million, whatever it is. I have not seen it yet. I have not seen it yet. I need to see it.
Do you know what happens? Do you want me to act it out? Do you want me to?
Well, I know
spoil it
who
for you?
else is in it. I know the many other Spider-Mans that are in it now, so I do know that. He's great.
So things are good. You guys are okay. That's good. Sebastian, congratulations on this one, man. Look, I feel like every time you and I talk, we're on the knife's edge of a viral video ruining your career. So it feels very appropriate. We're talking
Right.
about Pam and Tommy, the ultimate viral video.
Only if Tom Hiddleston's involved, right?
Hiddleston or Mackie, they're all trying to bring you down.
Well, or up, I don't know, depending on how you look at it. It certainly is a very interesting story, this whole thing. And just talking about it all day, it just, obviously, again, it reiterates how much we didn't know about it and how much I didn't know about it. I mean, we were young, we're probably similar age. I think I was 12 and 95. I'd heard things about it in high school briefly, but I didn't really understand what the fallout was and how it actually happened and what it did to them, what it did to her. So it's kind of an interesting time to look back and explore that whole thing again.
No, totally. And similar in some respects, the way you're talking, I know you collaborated with Craig Gillespie on this one and I, Tonya, which was obviously a reevaluation and kind of like recontextualization of that story.
Right.
I mean, this one, Pamela Anderson back then perceived in one light as kind of complicit. And now, we have a much different view of things. Like, how has your view of Pam in particular changed, Pamela Anderson changed through the process of making this?
Well, I think looking back, it's like you said, it feels like everybody projected their ideas onto them and onto her in particular. And in making this, obviously you're learning that she was planning to be a parent. She was trying to start a family. She was trying to have a career and take some shots, and every time she was going, attempting something, they would put her right back in that lane and sort of try to keep her there. And I think this whole idea of projection, which we're all kind of at fault for, we do it so often, and I think we see something and we immediately come up with a narrative, or the media inspires a narrative that maybe doesn't really apply to the actual truth, and sadly it kind of deranges people's point of view often. So I just think being able to kind of explore that and sort of ask those questions, the things that we're talking about now, is probably important. So,
as you well know, the transformation for both you and Lily in this is pretty remarkable, what you guys were able to accomplish in your whole hair, makeup team, costumes, etc. Talk to me about, okay, so like compare and contrast for me, the first time you see yourself in full makeup as Tommy Lee versus the first time you see yourself as Winter Soldier. Are both surreal in their own ways? Like which blew your brain apart more, you think?
Winter Soldier is a fictional character. He didn't, as far as I know, he doesn't exist. Josh, I don't know if you knew that. But
I need a second, guys.
Yeah, exactly. But and now we're dealing with a real life person, and not only just any person, but somebody who's been labeled the greatest drummer of all time. It was scary. I think scary is the right word. I think I don't have a tattoo on my body, right? So it's like when I got the call from Craig saying, hey, you should play this role, I was very happy because it was him, right? Because I loved working with him, but I didn't understand how he thought I would have been the guy to play, I was like, I don't play any music, I don't play any instruments. But I think that's the challenge, right, as an actor sometimes. You're looking to be scared, you're looking to learn something, you're looking to kind of for something that shocks you, or it's just very different from you, or and I think that was probably some of the appeal there.
I can only imagine the texts you got from friends after the first photos.
The photos were interesting, right? Because we had done a camera test. We knew we needed to get ahead of it at some point. Somebody.
Because you were shooting outside. I saw the paparazzi stuff started to come out immediately.
Yeah,
right?
Someone was going to take a picture at some point, and we were like, and I think it was Craig or who was like, let's just redo that picture, or let's try for that picture, and so. We ended up taking a bunch of them, and then the one that you saw kind of ended up out there, and obviously it was I think going through that camera test was a big relief for Lily and I, because we would finally like maybe this will work,
Right. Jump off the cliff together and see what happens,
completely.
Right? So you mentioned, no tattoos on the actual Sebastian Stan. Having gone through this much tatted up look, how big of an Anthony Mackie tattoo are you planning now? That's obviously going to be the first one, right?
The Anthony Mackie tattoo. No, I mean, he is tattooed on my heart for a very long time, forever. So,
for good or for bad, you can't get rid of that guy.
Exactly.
This performance, this character. I mean, anybody that knows anything about Tommy Lee, I mean, he's a big personality, obviously, in every respect. I've seen you in this great new film as well, Fresh, which is also a big swing of a performance, and it's awesome, man. And
thank you, man.
Knowing what I do of you over the years, generally speaking, a pretty soft-spoken, chill guy. Look, this is what acting is, obviously, but is it cathartic to kind of play these kinds of roles? Do you find there's some kind of like exorcism of the soul to just be these big personalities?
I don't know. I mean, I get drawn to things for different reasons. I've learned you're only as good as the company you keep. If you're opposite great actors, you're only going to be better. And with Fresh, it was Daisy Edgar Jones. I just thought she was so amazing in that Normal People. And I remember when I saw she had signed on, I was like, I gotta see what this project's about. I gotta try and go in there. And Mimi Cave's a very talented director as well. And obviously Craig here is a big part of it for me. And I've been a fan of Lily and Seth. So it's a combination of things sometimes that you're looking at, because you do go into it for a long period of time, and it does take a lot out of you, and then you're going to go and talk about it. There's a nostalgic thing about it, so you want it to be something that's trying to say something or is asking some questions. Great characters kind of sort of that end up being memorable kind of come with a lot, so you're just looking to find the right combination, I guess.
I'm curious, in this story that's kind of like the ultimate story about fame and celebrity and scandal, like you haven't had the scandal part, but you've had the fame part, and certainly I've seen your evolution in terms of your profile growing, thanks in part to the Marvel films, etc.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, just like what your own reckoning with fame has been. Was there a big adjustment period for you, or was it kind of easy to grapple with when you became such a public person?
I don't know. I don't really think, I believe it or not, I don't think about it as much as maybe I should. I don't know. It's interesting, right? This idea of fame, because what is that even now, right? Like technically you could say everybody's famous to some extent, right? I mean, social media is, personalities, TikTok, right? We're in this world now where I'm not even sure what fame seemingly is what everyone seems to want or be vying for. In my case, I've certainly been around for a minute. I'm 39. I haven't. It's taken a long time to kind of try and get people to keep paying attention. And there's hard work. There's a piece to it that comes with it.
Well, I mean, the nature of yours, though, is very particular. And look, I've talked to many different actors that have had kind of different levels of fandom around them. And you're one of those guys, as you well know, that has people that respect you for different reasons and different kind of like categories. Like you're, forgive me, you're kind of like one of the internet's boyfriends, right? Like you're like one of those people that is obsessed over in that very particular way.
Right.
You must see the gifts and all of it and the like, I mean, is that something that makes you uneasy, or at this point can you have a sense of humor about that aspect? of fame outside of even the acting?
I think gratitude is probably the thing that comes to mind, right? Like anytime someone can connect with you in some way, whatever. And again, there are messages that I get all the time, sort of like, hey, you've made me think about this, or I just wanted you to know I was going through a really dark time, and I looked at you or the character you were playing, and it made me feel bad. And you read that and you go, okay, like this is something is translating, and that's good. It's interesting because I think sometimes, as again we're talking about a lot of things here. We're talking about projection and things that we've been discussing, and I think that I fear that sometimes there's a desensitizing that's happening on the internet towards people. We're much quicker now to judge, and we're much quicker to just project something onto somebody because, you can.
Right, and not see them as like a human being, and see them as like an avatar of a human.
All I worry about is just like younger people. That's all. Like if I mean, you've gone through high school. High school is insane, okay? Like, my high school was crazy, too. I mean, I still had an accent. I was like, like the foreign exchange student, people were making fun of me. Like, but like going through high school now, I'm terrified, what I mean?
No, it's true.
Because people are just a little too harsh to each other on those social media apps,
You and I have joked about Game of Thrones in the past. You gave me grief once for never watching Game of Thrones. Thankfully, I finally caught up with it before it all ended. You'll be happy to know.
Good.
But since our chats, there are so many Game of Thrones folks in the MCU. We've got Richard Madden, Peter Dinklage, we've got Kit Harington, Amelia Clark's in a new show.
My brother from another mother, right? Richard Madden.
That's right. That's right. So who do you want to mix it up with? As a Game of Thrones fan, is there one of these actors that you'd like to share a scene with in an upcoming MCU project?
You know what? Did you like Edgar Wright's film?
Last Night in Soho.
Yeah, that was interesting, right? That was unbelievable, and that was the older lady was from Game of Thrones.
I know.
And she was amazing in it. I was so blown away by her. It's sad, It's like she just comes to my mind now. So
Diana Rigg, the late great Diana Rigg, absolutely. We also have joked in the past about you as Luke Skywalker. Now the good news is Luke Skywalker.
Oh yeah, you made me do that terrible audition, and everybody has never let me. Like they were actually thinking that was like a real audition, but kind of funny anyway.
Did I contribute to you not getting the return role? I mean, the good news is Luke Skywalker came back, but Mark Hamill played it again. Give him a break.
Let me just tell you, okay, I have not been cast as Luke Skywalker, and if that was their moment to see me in it, we didn't get it. We didn't do well. So there was that.
Have you let go of that dream? Are you okay?
It's such a wild thing to even speculate about. I because it's so out of my league in this, in terms of the decisions behind something like that. I don't even think about it. But like I always said, it's nice to see that people who embrace that character have embraced me as along with it. And because Star Wars is very specific. It's like you gotta really get it right. And I think obviously, I mean, I love The Mandalorian. I did see that, but I think there's some catching up I have to do there too.
Here's the portion of the conversation you can say nothing about, but I can't imagine a Captain America movie with Anthony Mackie in it that doesn't have a place for my buddy Sebastian Stan. What say you?
I love our banter. I mean, he and I have to do something with you again. Like, we have to figure something out. But I think he's going to be fine on his own. I think he's got it, He's going to be all right. So I'm proud of him. I want to see what happens.
Let's get reflective for a second. You're turning 40 this year, my friend.
Correct.
Let's look back at the 30s. I mean, like, your 30s, did it exceed every career aspiration? I mean, are you a guy that is goal driven? Like, well, look back for me for a second.
I was definitely a late bloomer, I think. Emotionally and mentally. It took me a little while, to kind of process things. I don't miss my 20s. I don't look back at any of that. It was like the last 5 years or so have really been very interesting, and you do get closer. You're asking different questions. You're processing things differently. You're more aligned, with what you want. And I do believe that there has to be goals. You gotta, even small goals. It's always about a day at a time. It's like you might not see the progress that's being invested for a long time, but as long as you're doing whatever you're doing in that day, is what defines you.